ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರದ ಪಹಲ್ಗಾಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಯೋತ್ಪಾದಕ ದಾಳಿಗೆ 26 ಅಮಾಯಕ ಭಾರತೀಯರು ನಿರಾಯುಧ ಪ್ರವಾಸಿಗರು ಮೃತಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೇಶ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಾದ್ಯಂತ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಭಾರತದ ಮೇಲೆ ಭಯೋತ್ಪಾದಕ ದಾಳಿಗಳು ನಡೆದಾಗ ಭಾರತೀಯರ ಪೈಕಿ ಕೆಲವರಾದರೂ ಇಸ್ರೇಲನ್ನು ನೆನಪಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಇಂಥದ್ದೇ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನು ದಶಕಗಳಿಂದ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಭಯೋತ್ಪಾದಕ ವಿರೋಧಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಚರಣೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಮಾಡೆಲನ್ನು ತನ್ನದಾಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಏನೂ ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ. ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಜನರಲ್ರನ್ನು ಮಾತನಾಡಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಮಗನ್ನಿಸ್ತು. ಆರ್ಲಿ ವಿಡ್ಸ್ಮನ್, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಜನರಲ್, ಅವರನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋ ಕರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ವಾಮ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಟು ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್. ಯಾ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ Israeli Consul General was here when Israel was under attack. Now you are here when India is under attack. We both nations are going through the same problems and facing the same kind of issues from decades. What do you have to tell about it now?
So I think it's very, very tragic that this is something that we share, because it's just as we felt after 7th of October 2023. Yes. I'm sure you're feeling similar feelings. Indian people are feeling similar feelings these days. Experiencing terrorism is one of the most horrific things that only people who go through this, only people who see their fellow countrymen, their friends, their neighbors suffer this, only they can truly understand the horrific sentiment that this brings to one's life. And it's very hard to deal with, and it's very hard to accept. And it's something that I know that Israel and India have amazing relations, and we have so much going on together. And it's such a shame that this is something that we have to share as well. I wish we could, share all the good things and get rid of all this bad feeling that we have. We each face in our different ways, different and similar ways, but we all face the same horrific feeling that follows terrorism attack, and that's.
I was there in Israel to cover tragic terror attacks in 2023, and incidentally, just a day before Pahalgam Attack happened, on 21st of this month, I was in Nova Music Festival terror attack place.
Yes.
What happened there is very horrible, very horrific it was.
I know. I think it's something that maybe strikes, it's very symbolic that you were there that day when the attacks happened in Kashmir, because I think in both cases we're talking about innocent people who went to have fun, whether it was in a party and in dancing for peace, whether it was for tourism, to have fun and enjoy life. People who were really trying to live their life peacefully, make the best of life, and were gunned down by other people, by terrorists. It's even hard for me to call them people, because they're terrorists. That their sole aim is to destruct, is to hurt, is to kill, with no purpose, no real purpose except to cause terror, as their name suggests, terrorism. And so I think it's very symbolic that on that day you were down at the Nova party area, because I think it sends some of the same sentiment, and it just makes even stronger the horrific part of what's happened both in Israel and here in India.
Yeah. What do you have to tell about the people who are even reluctant to call these people terrorists?
This is something that's unacceptable to me. To see innocent people gunned down.
Yes.
Innocent people, and there's no context that makes killing innocent people okay. No context.
Yes.
And to have this happen, and have innocent people gunned down while they're partying, while they're touring around, it's hard for me to even accept this. I don't know how to react to that, because to me it's so obvious that it's terrorism, and it's so obvious that it should be called terrorism, because if you don't call it by its name, you can't deal with it.
Yes.
In order to stop terrorism, you have to realize first and accept the fact that it's happening. I think many people in the world don't support terrorism, okay? Yes. Most of them don't like the idea of terrorism, but they're reluctant to call it by its name, because calling it by its name makes it real for them, and they're too scared maybe to call terrorism by its name. In order to deal with terrorism, you have to call it by its name. You have to realize that it's happening, and you have to do what you can do to stop it, whether it's happening to you or whether it's happening to anybody else around the world.
By not accepting the cause of it, it is a pure religious extremism. By not accepting that it is a pure religious extremism, people think that they are being politically correct.
I think political correctness in that sense is a problem. I mean, there are many places, I don't want to talk about political correctness as a whole, because some places political correctness is something that's maybe needed, but in the case of terrorism, it's something it's not political correctness, it's disruption of the world.
Yes.
Not realizing that there's bad things, not wanting to accept that there's bad sentiment, not wanting that there are bad people in the world. Okay, it doesn't benefit any religion. It doesn't benefit any people, and there are plenty of people from all religions around the world who want to live peacefully.
Yes.
And the terrorists, no matter what their ideal is ruining it for everybody, ruining it for people of all religions who want to live peacefully, who want to cooperate, and just want to get on with their lives anywhere in the world.
Yeah, India has got a very credible information that hundreds of Hamas terrorists came to Pakistan, trained Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists, and these people only have entered Kashmir and attacked innocent tourists. So Hamas is involved in this.
So it wouldn't surprise me that Hamas might be involved, because I think that that Hamas has proven to be one of the most horrific terrorist organization. People who were capable of doing what they did on October 7th are capable of anything, of anywhere around the world. So I think that's just something that everybody around the world should be aware of. To support this kind of terrorism, that is something that is completely unacceptable. They should be designated as a terrorist group everywhere in the world. Many countries have already done so. Countries who haven't done it yet should, and that's something that definitely Hamas definitely contributes to the fear of terrorism, to the act of terrorism, and to not allowing peace to happen all around the world. So it's a big problem.
Every country has a right to defend its sovereignty and territory.
Absolutely.
So as India.
Yes.
After attack on itself, Israel took extreme steps to retaliate. Now India has got all the rights. Will Israel support if India goes on and do some military actions?
So again, I think that India knows what's best for India, and I think that Israel feels that India knows what's best for India. India has been a great ally. I think that Narendra Modi was one of the first people to come out and publicly support Israel or after the attack on October 7th, and I think Prime Minister Netanyahu did the same after the attacks in India. There's a mutual understanding between the two countries that terrorism has to be fought in any way that the country deems reasonable in order to ensure the safety of its people. Each country is its duty to its people. It's duty to people to protect the people, and Israel, if anybody in the world will understand the need to protect India's need to protect its citizen, it's Israel. Israel knows what it's like when their citizens are threatened on a daily basis by horrible terrorist groups who don't hesitate to use their own people as human shields, who don't hesitate hurting their own children in order to hurt our children. So we know what it is and what you need. That sometimes extreme measures are needed in order to protect yourselves. And I'm sure that India will have complete faith that India will do what it needs to do in order to protect its citizens.
For Israelis, India has always been the first destination for touring. A lot of Israelis come to India, especially to northern side of India, Dharamshala and other places, to Goa also. Israelis feel insecure in India. Do you think that is Indian government doing enough to protect Israeli tourists?
So I think that this attack was not aimed at Israeli tourists in any way. Israelis will continue to come to India. I have no doubt that the love that Israelis have for India, you see kids who come here, age 18, 19, they love coming to India. I think that the atmosphere that India gives to Israeli people, the love that they receive here, and the feeling that Israelis have towards Indian and Indians have towards Israeli is something that's stronger than anything, and this will continue. And I'm sure that we'll keep seeing Israelis here, and they'll keep coming because they love being here and they feel welcome here. And India is a great country. I know that now living here. I feel it myself. And I think a lot of Israelis feel that way as well. And just as we know that terror attacks don't stop everything. I mean, life continues, and life is strong, and it has to continue. So, and I'm sure that just as we want tourists to come to Israel, I'm sure Israelis understand this, and they want to keep supporting India by coming to India and traveling in India as well.
After almost 1.5 years of terror attack on Israeli land, What is the situation now? Can you just tell us Karnataka people?
So,
what has been the situation? Still a lot of hostages there with Hamas?
We still have 59 hostages in the hands of Hamas. I can only say that the war won't be able to stop until all of them are home. Tonight in Israel, we're marking the Remembrance Day for the fallen soldiers and victims of terror. And this day every year is a very, very meaningful day in Israel. It's a painful day. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody knows friends, family, somebody who was killed or hurt in a war, in a terrorist attack. And of course became, since 2023, it's gotten even bigger because it's much more fresh. Even though we keep having, since our independence, we keep having to fight for our existence. So I think that the war, unfortunately, now, as painful as it is, we won't be able to stop until we have all of the hostages home, all 59 of them home safe, and I hope that that happens very soon.
You have enemies all around Israel. So being strong is the only option for you.
It's the only way to survive. And we will be strong, and we will make sure we're strong, and we'll never, we have a difficult history as well, even before Israel was established, and we always say never again, and we mean never again. And when things in October 7th looked a little bit shaky, it was a reminder for us why we have to stay strong, why we can't be oblivious to terrorist groups growing around us, and maybe and that's, I think, the most important reminder that we had in October 23, and something that we will never let happen again.
Yeah. In terms of gravity, what happened in Israel on 7th of October 2023 was much more horrific, 100 times more brutal than what happened in Pahalgam. You have gone through the worst.
I think, I don't want to compare, because I think each tragedy is a tragedy, and we don't have a competition in tragedies. And I know, when you lose someone, no matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you lost someone who's close to you. It doesn't matter if another 1,000 people were killed or another 20 people were killed. When you lose somebody close to you, you lose your whole world. So I think the pain is pain no matter what, and both attacks were absolutely horrific, and I think that we have been through a very through the worst. I hope we've been through the worst. I hope we never ever have to experience anything remotely like that again, and I hope India doesn't have to experience anything like that again either.
Yeah, people, by supporting, not calling terror organizations terrorists, they think they are being secular.
Yeah, I think that people are afraid to call things by their name. I think psychologically people wish that didn't happen, and maybe if they don't address reality, maybe it won't be real. I think it's a psychological issue many times, but I think it hurts the cause, because in the end, we saw it in Israel, we saw it in India. There are other places around the world that are maybe less talked about, but these things happen. Only if a strong stance is taken against it.
Nobody discusses about what's happening in African countries.
Exactly. There's so much going on.
Yes.
And there's so much hurt and pain. But people prefer to put out, to try and ignore it and hope, just because I think a lot of times, I think it's because they're scared, or because they prefer not to have to deal with a difficult situation, hoping it will just go away or disappear. But that's not the way to do it. If you want to fight terrorism, you have to fight terrorism. You have to fight, and you have to acknowledge that there's terrorism. Without that, it won't disappear. And I think that that's something that the world needs a wake-up call. In many places around the world, many people around the world need a wake-up call to realize that terrorism is real. As painful as that might be, as unfortunate that might be, terrorism exists. Terrorism is horrible and has to be dealt with.
Yes. Israel has always stood with us whenever we are in bad situation. Kargil was the recent example.
Yeah. Yes.
Will it be the same in this situation also?
I think that Israel has already shown that it stands by India. I think the relationships between India and Israel are so deep. We've been close allies for many years now, but I think the kinship grew even further in the past few years, and I think this is another example that shows the strength of the relationship. And I hope that this grows, and I hope we don't only have to share pain. I hope that we can keep sharing other platforms, such as innovation and knowledge sharing, because there's so much happening, so much going on, and there's so much positivity. And I really, really hope that both of our nations can focus on the positive sides of the relationship and not have to deal with these unfortunate incidents.
One question you may choose not to answer also. What we Indians are discussing after Pahalgam attack, India should retaliate like Israel did.
So I feel, like I said before, that India knows what's best for India. And I trust the Indian government to assess what it needs to do and to choose the right course of action to make sure that its citizens are safe.
Yes. In brief, can you explain us again, of course, the previously also Consul General has explained, what happened on 7th of October 2023 to Israel?
So on the morning of October 7th, I can tell you my personal story as well. I woke up at about, just naturally woke up at about 6:45 in the morning, checked my phone, as most people do, grabbed my phone, and suddenly I saw that there were missiles fired into the south part of Israel. Now this had been happening on and off for the past 10 years or so. And I just thought it would be another day. I was thinking, oh no, not another day of missiles, but I just thought it would be another day like that. And then suddenly the sirens went off in Jerusalem. First I saw that there were sirens in Tel Aviv, which is very rare. But then I lived in Jerusalem, and then sirens went off in Jerusalem. We suddenly heard the sirens, and sirens mean that we have to run to the safe room because there are rockets being fired at us. And this was really shocking, because to have rockets in Jerusalem is something very, very rare. That's when I understood. I have children. I grabbed my children, actually physically pulled them out of bed and ran with them to the safe room. And that's when I realized that something very big was happening. And slowly we discovered that basically Hamas had for years been preparing to invade Israel, and they came in by just pulled down the wall and came thousands and thousands of terrorists drugged, on drugs, so that they would be able to enhance their capabilities. Went into houses. Shot anybody who was there, children, old people, anybody who was in their way, and then and kidnapped, of course, many of them as well. And this was something that, and they also got to the Nova party, which you mentioned. These kids were dancing all night, and
378 people were killed there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that was something that, and I think that during the day we were seeing pictures of the jeeps coming in with the terrorists inside them. We couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Machine guns mounted on them.
Yeah. Exactly. We couldn't believe what we were seeing, and it took us some time to sort of recuperate the army. It took it a little bit of time to sort of get itself together, and of course it was stopped, but it was stopped a little bit too late, and we lost many people that day. Really, in stories that you hear the stories, and I can't even describe. Each story is like a book or a movie that you think is unbelievable, and there are hundreds of stories like this.
Yes.
And you hear some of them, and you're shocked at how mean these people could be, how much evil there is in the world. Nobody who knew that people could be so evil. How can you hurt babies like that? How can you kill a mother in front of her children? How can you kill children in front of their parents? And physically hurt and torture people and kidnap children. I think I was the most difficult for me was realizing that there was so much evil in the world and so close to me, and that's something that has stayed with me since then, and it's very hard to live with, knowing that such evil exists.
Yeah, even today those kibbutz and burnt houses and charred cars tell the story.
Yeah.
How horrible was 7th of October 2023 was.
I personally, in my previous role in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I headed delegations. I was taking delegations of families of the hostages who were traveling around the world, trying to tell the stories to different world leaders, and trying to explain the situation to different world leaders to get their support and try to do what they can to set the hostages free. And you hear these are people who themselves suffered the attack. Who were closed in rooms, who had gunmen around them, who were hiding under beds. These are the ones who were survived and who weren't kidnapped. Those are the ones, but they had to then finish that traumatic situation and are now in the fight of their lives to try and save the people, their loved ones who were kidnapped. So think of a mother who had to protect her child and who was hiding under a bed, holding a child and wishing that the child wasn't killed. In the meantime, having her son shot dead and her husband kidnapped. And now, after this event, she can't even relax and heal herself from her trauma, she has to now try and get her son or her husband back from the hostage. She has to keep fighting to have them set free. So this is a situation that we're facing. It's something.
So 59 families are still in trauma.
59
Still
families.
praying that their loved one come.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. So we have gone through the same things. We have the same experiences. I strongly feel that there should be a real-time intelligence sharing between India and Israel, experience sharing between India and Israel, and defending our own countries. What has been your experience? What has been our experience?
Yeah. So I'm sure, I mean, intelligence and experience sharing is something that's happening all the time. And of course,
Yes.
we can't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Being intelligence with
No,
nothing
that
we
is just
discuss.
my hope.
Yeah, no, but I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that there's cooperation going on, and of course, knowledge sharing is something that we do. And again, I just wish that we could do it in other fields and not have to deal with it on the terrorist front.
So let's wish best for each other, and
Absolutely.
let's wish for the better days to come.
Absolutely.
What do you have to say?
Absolutely. Pray for that, yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Orly, for being here and talking to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
ಇದು ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ.
ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನ್ಯೂಸ್.